What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. You guys seen the title of the video and you clicked on it. I want to talk about Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman and a possible unification bout. Now, I just watched the interview with Keith Thurman from Fight Hype. Link in the description in case you want to check out the full interview. He says he's not coming back this year. Hopefully next year he fights multiple times. I don't know. He didn't really state a reason. I heard he had to wait 90 days after the Porter fight because of a cut or something like that, but I don't know why he's not coming back this year. However, he did say a fight with Danny Garcia is something that he would pursue. He's all about unifications, etc. Again, if you want to hear the whole interview, make sure you click on the link in the description. Now, I want to give my thoughts. I really think Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman is the fight that, if you're a boxing fan, you want it. And it's unfortunate that we're getting a couple things in the welterweight division is so stacked. Danny Garcia fought in January, and it looks like he's slated to come back against John Molina. And it's not official or confirmed or announced, but it looks like that's the leading candidate, the front runner, right? And I talked to John Molina, and he was saying he's bigger than Danny Garcia, and we were just chatting. And the thing is, I think we're getting a lot of situations like this in boxing, and I think the person who's being considered the cherry pick, I mean, it's easy to feel slighted, like the fans are mad at you or shitting on your potential. I really feel John Molina versus Danny Garcia could definitely be a war. It could be a good fight. It could be an entertaining fight, right? But the biggest thing I have is you're getting a lot of examples in boxing in general where the A side, the guy who's considered the A side, he's having like talks or negotiations or spats with other fighters that the fans really want to see that person fight. And then those fights don't materialize, and instead it's somebody we didn't think. Like, for example, Danny Garcia, he just had a war, and I did it and I covered it with Terrence Crawford. That's a great fight. Everyone's like, damn, everybody was all in on those videos. Like, man, that's a great fight. I would love to see it. Then that fight doesn't happen. Then they were talking about Berto. Then that fight doesn't happen. You know, I thought that was a good stylistic matchup, and then it's John Molina. And this is going on throughout boxing. Canelo, he's like, oh, put the gloves on right now. We Mexican, we don't fuck around. Cut the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Where's Golovkin at? Bring him to me. And then he vacates his belt and he's fighting Liam Smith. This keeps happening. Pacquiao. There's all this talk about, oh, Broner and Danny Garcia. Then they price themselves out. Oh, what about Crawford and Pacquiao? Yeah, great fight. Then we get Jesse Vargas, right? So I think this is what's happening in boxing. And I understand like the Jesse Vargas and John Molinas, they're going to feel slighted because they're like, man, we're good fighters. You know what I mean? Why are people counting us out? But I think it's more of the fan disappointment at the A-side fighter, the Pacquiao, the Danny Garcia, the Canelo. They're mad at them for not pushing for the fights like Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. Sean Porter, who is off a loss, but it wasn't a bad loss. Some people thought he lost. They were booing Keith Thurman and cheering Sean Porter at that fight, post-fight. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. Those are the fights that people want to see. And I was hoping that the boxing would kick off the year, or actually close the year strong, but it doesn't look like so far we've gotten that. We haven't heard, you know what I mean, Broner maybe fighting Ricky Burns. I mean, I'd rather see Danny Garcia versus Broner. You know what I mean? So there's some issues in boxing. You know what I mean? Canelo coming back in December to fight possibly Billy Joe Saunders or Gabe Rosado, Willie Monroe. You know what I mean? Something like that. I want to see him fight Triple G. So I think that's the reoccurring theme that we're getting in boxing. And in the UFC, I have to give, and I always love boxing over MMA. That's just me personally. But I got to give credit where credit's due. UFC's closing their year strong. That UFC 205 card is slamming. You know what I mean? They got from top to bottom Chris Weidman, Yoel Romero. They got Tyron Woodley versus Wonder Boy. I mean, they got great fights. Frankie Edgar on the card. Rashad Evans. You know what I mean? It's stacked. And I think it's a November card. You know what I mean? So I'm waiting for that boxing card that closes the third quarter, because I'm a longtime boxing fan. I remember some great fights in November, December. Great fight. Like Juan Manuel Marquez and Pacquiao, they fought in December. Adrian Broner versus Marcos Maidana with Keith Thurman on the undercard. I believe that was in December. You guys can fact check me. This is off the top of the dome because I know my shit. But I'm almost positive both of those cards in previous years took place in December. So as far as Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, yes, I want to see it. I'd rather see it sooner than later. really start shaping out the division. Even Danny Garcia versus like a Felix Diaz, that's a good fight. You know what I mean? People want to see that. A guy off a win, a gold medalist, stuff like that. So I really like Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia. It looks like we probably won't get it until 2017. I hate the waiting game that we're being forced to partake in. Like, there's some great fights that are ready made. And to be honest, if Canelo lost to Golovkin, got stopped, this is what he's been doing. Golovkin's been stopping everybody. So I don't know that people would be shocked, but people would still give Canelo props for taking the fight. And he might even be able to beat him. I don't know, because I'm not firm on Golovkin's resume. I told you guys that all the time. Great fighter, good fighter, but I still got to see more, because it all changes when you step up with someone with equivalent skills or attributes to offset yours. Like Nonito Donaire, he was running through people too for 11 years. Then he stepped in with Rigondeaux, a guy who can outspeed him, outthink him, has power, southpaw, and then what happened? You know what I mean? So Canelo might even be able to win that. But right now, my dude, shout out to King of Graphics, make sure you follow him on Instagram. But he has this meme with Canelo, and Canelo has a camel toe. Now they're calling it Canelo toe. And Triple G's page posted this. You know what I mean? Then they deleted it. But a ton of people are posting this picture of Canelo with a camel toe. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Photoshop deal, right? And it's like a movement, a little mini movement. And same thing, Danny Garcia. You go to his page, a bunch of cherries and stuff like that. The fans are unforgiving. And the least you could do is put on, like I said, if you fight those people, there's no, like Sean Porter, he lost. But it was very competitive. Nobody's like, oh, Sean Porter, you little bum. People are giving him props. People want to see his next, because even though he lost to Thurman, some people thought he won. You know what I mean? So to me, that's what boxing needs to restore in general. And this is not directed at Golden Boy or PBC or Top Rank. This is all everybody. You know what I'm saying? There, you can lose. It's cool, because if you have a good showing and you're fighting an elite level person, people will understand. You look at Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton, same situation. People were giving Leo Santa Cruz hell for not fighting Guillermo Rigondeaux. I criticized him for not fighting Rigondeaux. He ducked Rigondeaux. Frampton ducked Rigondeaux. But then they fought each other, which is a good consolation prize, because it was a good fight, and we knew it was going to be a good fight. And now it kind of takes some of the heat. It doesn't excuse the fact that you ducked Rigondeaux openly, but people forget about it a little bit. And that's what I think would happen with Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia has a good resume. Canelo has a good resume. But boxing is a sport of what have you done for me lately? And Canelo, it doesn't look like you want to fight Lara. You don't want to fight the top 154 pounders. You don't want to fight Golovkin. You don't look like you want to take the challenge and fight a David Lemieux, a guy with cracks. You know what I'm saying? It looks like you want to select. And that's kind of what I think people feel with Danny Garcia. Keith Thurman, that's a pick 'em fight. Danny Garcia has proven many of people wrong. He was the challenger versus Eric Morales, and he took his belt. Then he set the record straight in the rematch clause and spun him around, you know what I mean, and knocked him out. You could say he was past prime or whatever. It's still Eric Morales, who gave Pacquiao a good fight in that first fight. He gave Maidana with one eye a great fight. He didn't get spun around in that, and his eye looked like trash in that fight. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. I think Maidana even went on record later saying his toughest fights were Floyd Mayweather and Eric Morales. You guys can, again, fact check me. But that's what it's about, man. You're not going to get bashed as much as you would losing to the person. You know what I'm saying? If Danny Garcia fights Errol Spence. And like I said, Danny Garcia has proven people wrong. I was literally, the video is still up on the page, literally one of the only people picking Danny Garcia over Lucas Matisse. Because at that point, Matisse was running through with Jose, Humberto Soto, and all these guys. And he had just knocked out Lamont Peterson in 3 rounds. And they said Danny Garcia was in the crowd. He was at that fight live. He said he was scared. And I was literally one of the only people that thought he would beat the machine. You know what I mean? Lucas Matisse. And they were like, no, hell no. Garcia's getting knocked out. You know what I mean? And he proved people wrong. He didn't prove me wrong because I picked him. But he proved a lot of people wrong. So maybe he could beat Keith Thurman. I don't know. You know what I mean? But again, you'll get more credit in just taking the fight. So once again, to wrap this video up, for me, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, all these names, Kell Brook if he decides to come back, which probably won't, but all these welterweight names, you're not Mayweather, you're not Pacquiao, you haven't done what those guys have done, you haven't accomplished the same feats, so nobody else's A-sideness is equivalent to Mayweather or Pacquiao or Cotto, etc. So you can't expect, even Canelo, he's a good fighter, only 26, but you haven't accomplished those same things that Pacquiao has done. Pacquiao moved up 8 divisions. Mayweather moved up 5. Cotto moved up, I think, 4, right? Canelo and Danny Garcia, all these guys, they haven't done that. You know what I'm saying? So you can't expect to have the same perks and privileges. That's like me starting a job, and I've been with the company for, let's say I work at Circuit City. We'll use someone that's closed. I work at Circuit City for 8 months, and I expect to be making the same as someone who has way more seniority, who's been with Circuit City for 12 years and moved up and went through the processes, did the unthinkable, accomplished all these things, got Employee of the Month, Employee of the Year, had great successful district walks. Why would I go in expecting to have the same benefits and clout and pull as those people? And that's kind of what's wrong with boxing, is like you got a lot of up-and-comers who they are A-sides, but you ain't like a mega A-side like a Mayweather or Pacquiao, where you could just do whatever and still not build on your legacy. And I'm all for fighters getting paid. Get paid what you're worth. I have no problem with that, because this is a brutal, that's like, I do these, this started out as a hobby for me on YouTube, and like just as a passionate boxing fan. But now that I don't have another job, this is a hustle, you know what I mean? So if you guys want to donate, yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is a hustle. This is a grind. I'm not doing this for free no more. That's just facts. You know what I mean? You got to cash me out now. You know what I mean? I'm not just doing this. This is my livelihood. This is my income. So that being said, I'm okay with fighters getting paid, but I think that's what it is to boil it down for you guys. With the guys like the Danny Garcia, it's not so much that John Molina is a piss poor fight, but when we're being presented with Terrence Crawford and Garcia going at it and dissing each other heavily on social media, Twitter fingers, and then they're talking about maybe making a Broner fight in Garcia, or Garcia and Thurman, and then we get John Molina after Berto. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, is that the fight we wanted the most? You know what I mean? And also the most meaningful, because like I said before, John Molina, he's coming off a good win, Ruslan Provodnikov, but I believe most of the damage he's done has been at 140 pounds or under. I don't think he's had an actual 147-pound fight, and if he did, I don't think it was against in prime, like top level name. So even though he may be bigger, that's why people are being hard on that fight, because they want to see, there's too much talent in the welterweight pool, in the talent pool of welterweight. Let me know what you guys think. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. That's my insight. A lot of people were asking what I think. I mean, of course, I'm a boxing fan before a reporter, before a journalist, anything else. I want to see it. It doesn't look like we'll get it until 2017. Drop in the comment section. Share the video. Like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.